Hi everyone, I'm Charlie Grace with Charlie Grace Adventures, and I just did a video last week talking about a very scary situation. I was flooded with emails and messages and comments about a lot of safety things, and so I thought, you know what, it's about time we start talking about some of the safety things that I have learned over the years traveling solo, and things that might be able to help you if you're out there traveling on the road too. So I'm going to give you a couple of my tips and tricks and things that I do and things to think about on the road. Now, this is not meant to scare anybody. This is also not an expert tutorial on anything. I am not a self-defense expert. I'm not here to say that you need to buy this or buy that. I'm just telling you what I have done in the past and things to be aware of. So let's talk about this. So the best advice I can give anyone is to use your brain. Most important thing right there. And also trust your gut. If you don't feel right, there could be something wrong. Don't always try to second guess things. Go with your gut and realize, not exactly feeling it, then call for help. Do what you need to do. So I'm going to give you a few scenarios that I've learned over the years that are things that are happening. Honestly, recently I've seen these, and some things you might want to think about carrying with you and doing while you're on the road. All right, let's start with fuel stations. Okay, everyone goes to a fuel station. It happens, we've got things going on, we get distracted, there's lots of people there. Even though there's cameras, even though it's lit up, even though you have this sense of safety, please have your head on a swivel and realize what's going on. So I will be the first person to tell you, I'll get out and I'll start to pump for my fuel, and then my dog's in here and I get distracted and things are going on. Here's what I've learned. Number one, get yourself a box of disposable latex, non-latex gloves. Put a glove on first before you go, take your cap off and pump your fuel. Number one, what we've learned over the years now is people are actually sort of lacing fuel handles, and it happens that sometimes you touch it and then about 15 minutes later you get really drowsy and people have followed you. This is not to say that they're looking maybe to deal with sex trafficking. It could be they just want to rob you. It could be a lot of different reasons for that, but the bottom line is you don't want to have to deal with that at all. So make sure you bring a glove, use that. Also, it's a little more sanitary, which will help you out too. That's number one. Number two, if you are opening your door and you're going to stand there and you're by yourself, make sure your door is propped so you've got a way for people are not coming towards you in every direction. So when I go out, I open my driver's side door. My dog normally jumps in the driver's seat, which is another deterrent, but that's beside the point. And then as I'm fueling, I also stay focused and make sure that my back is to my vehicle so I know exactly what's going on. And all of my vehicle doors are locked. Nothing is unlocked, especially all my compartments on my RV too, because sometimes I've had someone try to go and just fidget with the lock, and next thing you know, you can be missing something like a Max Track or an e-bike even. Fuel stations are places where people are going to notice you as you walk to and from your vehicle. So if you come back to your vehicle and you see any of these signs, whether it be your windshield wiper up, zip tie on any of your doors, anything like that, it means you might be tagged. If you know something in your windshield, if it's like a free car wash, something like that, do not touch it. If you see a $5, $10, $20 bill, any kind of money on the ground, do not touch it. These are things that can be laced with items that can actually, like I said, make you drowsy and drug you a little bit so that it will impair your driving and someone can stop and then therefore possibly take advantage of you. Another thing I've seen out there is I heard of a lady the other day, and she was actually stopped and she was going grocery shopping, and someone knocked on her passenger side window and asked to roll it down. And when she rolled it down just a little bit, she thought about this, but she rolled it down just a hair. The guy says, "Hey, there's something wrong with your vehicle. You've got to stop, pop your hood." Now, you would think that someone's there trying to help you, right? You never know, and maybe there is something wrong with your vehicle, but she just didn't feel it was exactly right. And so she decided not to do that and said, "Thank you," rolled her window back up, and started to drive away. She noticed the same person trying to do it to somebody else not too far away as she was moving around and trying to get around the parking lot. So this could have been a trafficking situation. This could have been someone just trying to steal. But what she did notice is that as she was leaving the vehicle that the gentleman was in, there was someone in the passenger seat, and this was the passenger who was walking around trying to get in other people's vehicles. This is something to be aware of. Please be careful when people try to panhandle, knock on your windows, try to get your attention, try to distract you from something else. This could be a sign. I like to say I'm a trusting person. I do like to help other people out as I can. However, there are times when you do have to sort of keep your head straight and walk by. And I've seen this quite a few times. People will come up and say, "Can I pray for you? Can I help you in some way?" And although they're trying to be kind and I love to receive kindness, I really don't want people touching me in public, especially people I don't know. I've seen people like that before in situations. I've heard of a few friends that have had that happen before, where someone has touched them and put something on their arm, which then again, once again, we're back to the drug situation. We don't want to have that happen. Just try to keep your distance, especially from people you don't know. And then when you're in a meetup or a different situation, I think it's a different story, but when you're in a fuel station or you're in a rest stop or something like that, just be aware. All right, so let's talk safety and urban boondocking. I boondock all the time in Cracker Barrels, Walmarts, Bass Pros, sometimes city streets, just depends on where I am, what's going on. And you've got to be aware of where you're boondocking. I like to find a nice someplace where it's lit. I like to back in under a light. I need to make sure there's light on me at all times. I don't want to be like somewhere back in the corner where it's really dark. I want people to know that I'm there. And more importantly, I want to be very safe, because what if I have to get up in the middle of the night with the dog? It could happen. Or what if there's someone knocking on my door in the middle of the night? That could happen. So I want to be lit. That's number one. Number two, I do have cameras. Now my cameras are inside my coach, not outside. I want them inside, facing outward through my windows, so someone can't take them off or spray paint them over. I know a lot of people like to have outside cameras. There's nothing wrong with that, but for my reasons, like I just said, I like to have them inside. Also, when I'm traveling and I want to go somewhere, I could turn one inside, watch my dog. It helps me a little bit to find out what's going on inside my rig. So there's a good thing. I currently use Amazon Blink cameras. I'll leave a link in the description below. They're pretty handy. They also give me like a temperature, so I know if it's above or below a certain temperature inside my rig, which is also handy if you're traveling with a pet. I do a lot of research before I park for the night. It is one of those things where I try to find out where I'm going to park for the night ahead of time. I don't just wing it. I know a lot of friends who just wing it and they park and like, I'll be fine, no big deal. But before I really lay my head down for the night, I go on, I look at my app, Spot Crime, and it's an app where it'll tell you real quick how there have been a lot of burglaries, assaults, other things in the area where I'm spending the night. Something good to know, right? Things do change. Where you park at 5 o'clock may not be the same type of neighborhood at 8 o'clock. I mean, definitely not be the same type of neighborhood at midnight. So I want to find a place that's quiet. I can lay my head. I'm not going to get the knock, knock, knock on the door from the police at say 2 in the morning or 5 in the morning. So that tells me I have to move. So let's talk about the urban boondocking etiquette. Here's how this works. You get there around sunset. You scope out the place. You make your decision of where you're going to park. And then you're supposed to leave relatively early in the morning. So for a lot of people who do like urban boondocking and they go to Bass Pro or Walmart, you're not really meant to be there the whole day. You're meant just as a quick stopover and that's about it. If you're someone who's like, oh, I'm going to park there for the next 3, 4, 5 nights, and next thing you know, you're breaking out bicycles and camping gear and lawn chairs, that's not what this is meant to be. And because if we keep acting like it's a place like a campground, they're going to stop and close these kind of opportunities for those of us who are traveling who just need a quick place to lay our head for overnight travel. So just putting out there, if we're doing urban boondocking, let's stick to that urban boondocking etiquette and do our quick overnights and get back on the road. I've gotten a lot of questions about, do you have a taser? Do you have pepper spray? Do you have wasp spray? Do you have lots of other kinds of things in your rig? And the answer is yes. I have a lot of things in my rig, and I have a lot of things I use for different reasons. However, I'm going to reiterate this. I've said this a million times. I want you to hear this first. Wasp spray is for wasps. Bear spray is for bears. And pepper spray is for humans. So if you're going to use something on another human, please use how it was intended. So if you use something else on another person, like a wasp spray, although it can spray really far away, and I understand desperate times could call for desperate things, in certain states that could be construed as attack with a chemical weapon. And you don't need a charge on you for trying to save yourself and get out of a bad situation. So let's stick to what we're supposed to use and go from there. I will say that using a taser and having a taser with you walking from like a store to your rig is pretty awesome, and I'll tell you why. That noise of a taser gets everybody on their toes. There's not one person who doesn't come to attention when you hear that noise and you know what that noise is. So if that's something that makes you feel a little more confident as you're walking to and from your rig, please, by all means, carry it with you. Make sure you're following all the state and local laws. It's really important, especially if you're on private property. But it's a nice thing. I'll leave a link in the description below where I got mine. They're pretty handy, and I think it's something that, if you're looking for some non-lethal tools like that really packs a punch, a taser is pretty awesome. Another non-lethal type of defense is called a burn-a-gun. Now these are pretty awesome, and a lot of people carry them, and I see them at all the shows, and I have friends that sell them, and I think they're great. And if you're really looking for some kind of non-lethal situation to scare someone and like get away from the situation, they're wonderful. So if this is something that you're interested in, I'll leave a link in the description below. I've played with them, I've shot them. It just depends on where you're going, and at the end of the day, it looks like a gun, so it looks like a gun, but it has a non-lethal cartridge in it, so it just gets the person down and doesn't kill them essentially, but it gives you a little time to get away. So if you're going in a different situation and you're ready to go and make that big purchase of something of a pew-pew, I would check the state laws and make sure where you're going, you're allowed to carry. More importantly, you might be crossing into another country. So you're going to Canada, can't bring those into Canada. There are places where you can stop, put them in a locker, go through Canada, have a great time, come back and pick them up. Now, this is a really big situation from a safety perspective. If you feel safe carrying that and you feel like that is something you need, that is your decision and no one else's. I will say this once again, I think your biggest weapon is your brain. So get out of the situation without harming anyone else and making sure that you are safe, and try not to cause, we'll say, mounds of paperwork or other things, because we know once we go to that drastic of a measure, it changes the whole situation entirely and it escalates it to a place where there might be a lot of regrets. So from a safety perspective, go, read, watch the videos, take a self-defense course, do what you need to do to feel safe. Also, if you're someone like me who likes to plan, I like to be aware of my surroundings and what's coming up. That also can help quite a bit in preparing your brain for what's coming up. At the end of the day, it's all about what makes you feel comfortable and safe as you're on the road. So in the past few years, let me give you some of my really fun moments. I had someone once jump their whole body on top of the hood of my rig. That was exciting. At a crosswalk. What do you do when that happens? I know what I did. I turned on my windshield wipers with the fluid and got them wet to see if I could get them to move. Now this person was extremely apparently on some kind of substance. Didn't really care. Scared the crap out of me. But at the end of the day, did I get out of my rig? Absolutely not. Did I need to call the police? I didn't, because I was waiting for the green light and the water sort of, got him off. But could it have escalated? Absolutely. So was I ready to? Absolutely. Do I have a dash cam? That helps too. Now, at the end of the day, dash cams are wonderful, but it's one of those things where let's hope they work and make sure you know how to use them. I've been parked in campgrounds where people try to fidget with something on your rig in the middle of the night. I've had teenagers pull my black tank, which is really fun, not so much fun, on one of my RVs. I've had lots of people try to open up compartments in the middle of the night, things like that, because they know that you're really sound asleep and they're looking to get that e-bike. They're looking to get those tools, whatever it might be, things that have a little bit of value, or just kids that are doing a prank. And they don't understand how much it's going to hurt and upset your night's sleep. So just be aware, once again, on my back to cameras and making sure things are locked up. And, you need to be smarter than the person who's trying to essentially cause you a bad night's sleep. There is safety in numbers, and traveling with a caravan of people is really handy to do. It's a lot of fun. However, when you're doing that, don't assume that other people in the caravan are going to know what's going on with you. So I like to have a group chat when I'm with like 2 or 3 or 4 other rigs and we're traveling from place to place. So if there's a problem, number one, like I said, always call the police, but inform the group what's going on. Have a code word for some reason. If you can't really say it out loud or you need to text it to someone real quick, have that code word, have it like peaches. And then have it go out all over the group chat and people are like, oh, there's something going on. It's serious and we need to help so-and-so. So think about that with the group and realize that the instance that we just gave of that certain person climbing on top of someone's rig, there were over 7 RVs and camper vans all together, and it still happened. Cell phones are great, but radios are awesome too. So if you're like me and do a lot of overlanding, having a nice radio where you can just say everyone's on channel 6, and we're going to talk about channel 6 tonight. And if there's any problems, just let me know on channel 6. That's a great way of doing it. So if you like to get a radio, these are really handy. I like rugged radios. They've got a great battery life. I've been using these for a while, and it's always good for overlanding and hanging out on the trails. Putting things on the outside of your rig, statements like K9 on board or smile, you're on camera, can sometimes put people in a different place. They might think, ooh, she has something of importance, or oh my goodness, I wonder what kind of puppy it is inside. So depending on what you put on your rig, people are going to judge you a little bit and think about these things, but do not think that a person who wants to get in your rig is actually looking at those signs. It might be a deterrent to someone who normally doesn't do that, but a lot of people know that people just put those signs on to put those signs on. So be aware that if you start putting things on the side of your rig, it might actually attract more attention than you want. If you have any great tips that you would like to share with our awesome adventure community of all the things you've learned about being safe on the road, do me a favor, write them in the comments below. We want to share all this information out. We're not trying to scare anybody. We're trying to make people aware and be prepared. That's the most important thing. So until next week, do me a favor, hit that like, subscribe, and bell to get notified if it's your first time being here. I put out videos every single week on really cool topics on van life, overlanding, product reviews, all sorts of cool things on cool adventures all over North America. Safe travels and happy trails.